Since I have been doing some body kits and some conversion kits lately, I figured why not do another one, but instead of a full body change, I'm just going to do the bumpers as in a real bumper kit. I'm starting this one off with a Tamiya Honda S2000 and a AP2 body kit from Hobby Design, which I will be putting onto the body from the Tamiya kit. Now the kit is a really nice one at that. It is really clean, no flash whatsoever. All the parts are pretty much ready to use out of the sprue. Not much cleaning up to do apart from a couple of mold lines and the standard stuff, but otherwise nothing to complain. Really nicely detailed and a lot of extra parts for the left hand or right hand drive version. It even has different door cards which are different on the right and left hand side. So let's move on to the body kit. It's pretty simple. It contains the front and rear bumper, some photo etch parts, and the updated head and taillight buckets. So in order to put the new bumper on, you obviously need to take the old ones off. So first off, I made the panel lines a bit deeper so I could be more aware of where they are, while I cut the rest of the bumper off, not to the panel line, but leaving a bit of room in between, and then move on to the next step. With the biggest piece of the bumper now out of the way, I clean it up further with a bit more trimming and cutting with some pliers. Still not going to the panel line all the way, and then just coloring in these panel lines with a permanent marker. And once I have colored them in, I went over them with a sanding stick. You can also use some sandpaper to sand the biggest piece of the marker off, and that will leave the line where the panel line is black. And in this case it is really handy as the body is white and now the panel line is black, so you can see to which you need to sand the remaining piece of the front bumper off too. So that's the next part. It is a really long and tedious process, but taking your time here saves a lot of time in fixing some stuff later on. After a couple of minutes of sanding that remaining piece of the front bumper off, I could do the initial test fit. Now the middle section fit pretty much perfectly, nothing needed to be adjusted there, but the sides were tucked in a bit. The bumper had shrunk or warped a small amount, so what I did is I cut some reliefs in the lower section of the bumper, and I will be putting some plastic or styrene wedges in those gaps to fill it up and make them spread out a bit more, which will make the sides of the bumper go outwards to the original position and fit perfectly to the rest of the body. With the first couple of wedges in, I did another test fit. Came out pretty good, but it needed a couple more wedges, so I cut out some more reliefs and added a couple of more of those wedges in. Now these wedges are a tight fit as this bumper needs to be spread out a bit more in the width, so that's what they are supposed to do. The second test fit went perfectly, it fit really well, so it was time to clean these wedges up, and then the front bumper could be glued on and we could move on to the rear bumper. So the rear bumper is pretty much the exact same technique as I used on the front, just cut the biggest piece of the bumper off and mark the panel line, sand the panel line marker off, and then sand the remaining piece of the bumper away until you hit that panel line. This one was a bit different though, as I also needed to cut out the taillight buckets. Not really going to show it as it's pretty much the same technique as the rest of the bumper, and it took a pretty long time to get to the line exactly and have them fit perfectly, but it was a doable job. So with that all done, cut out of the way, the first initial test fit could be done, and it was pretty much perfect the first try. The middle section could be glued on, and the sides also could be glued on as well. And with that done, I could do a test fit of the new taillight bucket. It had a bit of space between the bucket and the bumper, so I added some styrene in there, sanded it flush, and then prepped the rest of the body with some 600 grit sandpaper in order to go up to the first coat of primer. Just like always, after the first coat, let it sit for 5 to 10 minutes, move on to the second, and if you feel like it's necessary, again, let that second coat dry for 5 to 10 minutes, move on to the third coat. And with that all done, you are pretty much ready for the preparation in order to put the color on.